He was set to go on trial 1 week from today, but now Stephen McDaniel pleads guilty to murder.
He's the Mercer Law School grad who strangled and dismembered his classmate and neighbor Lauren Giddings back in 2011.
WGXA's own Shanti Tager joins us live in studio to tell you more about the deal that McDaniel accepted from prosecutors and what he faces as a punishment.
Well, before Judge Howard Sims sentenced Stephen McDaniel to life in prison, Sims called him the third truly evil person he has had in his courtroom. While there is a possibility McDaniel will one day be granted parole, the prosecution and defense in the case say the deal accepted today was the best possible outcome. Walking straight into the courtroom and standing in front of Judge Howard Sims, Stephen McDaniel pleads guilty to 1 count of malice murder for the June 2011 dismemberment slaying of his neighbor and fellow Mercer Law classmate Lauren Giddings. District Attorney David Cook laid out the deal offered by prosecutors, a written confession detailing what McDaniel did and the waiver of his rights to appeal. In a press conference after the hearing, Cook says the deal offers closure to Giddings' friends and family.
I wanted them to be in the position and for the community to be in a position where we knew justice was not only certain, but justice was final.
McDaniel is sentenced to life in prison. His defense attorney, Frank Hogue, agrees with the decision.
I think it was the right outcome. It's good that Stephen accepted responsibility for what he did. The sentence was appropriate for what he did.
Recent evidence uncovered by GBI computer forensic investigators may have compelled McDaniel to accept a plea deal. Cook says investigators found pictures of Giddings on a camera McDaniel used to spy on her. He says computer records also show McDaniel researched a security device Giddings used on her door.
Over the course of the last several months, there was less confidence on the other side.
That's what finally persuaded him to do what he did today.
McDaniel will be eligible for parole in 2041 after spending 30 years in prison, but Cook and Hogue say it's unlikely he will ever be released.
Because of the detailed admission of guilt, I do not expect any parole board will ever agree to his release.
We've been candid with him. The likelihood is high that they will not ever release him. And yeah, my guess is he probably won't get released.
While McDaniel laid out what he did with Giddings in his confession, Hogue says a motive for the killing may never be known.
He doesn't quite know himself why he did it.
McDaniel's family members were not present in the courtroom for today's hearing at the time of the murder. McDaniel and Giddings had both recently graduated Mercer Law School and were studying for the bar exam. Reporting live in studio, Shanti Tager, WGXA.
WGXA first interviewed McDaniel the day after Lauren Giddings was reported missing in June of 2011. Reporter Michelle Casada found him standing outside the apartment building where he and Giddings had lived, and that we now know was the scene of the crime. He talks about joining Giddings' friends to look for his law school classmate and how they entered her apartment to see if there was anything wrong. It was also the first time McDaniel found out that a portion of Lauren Giddings' body had been recovered by police from the dumpster where he had put it. Knowing now that McDaniel had murdered and dismembered Giddings, the interview provides a glimpse inside the mind of a killer as he builds his story and his alibi. Take a look.
Person that was living there?
Yeah, Lauren was my neighbor. We're just trying to find out where she is at this point. I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday. I mean, the last time anyone heard from her was an email that she sent out, and no one's heard from her since.
Did you see her hang out with anyone at the time or anything like that?
I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday. I haven't seen anything. I mean, you always hear noise outside, but it's just people walking by pretty much.
And she just recently graduated from Mercer?
Yeah, she and I we were both JD students. We graduated back in May.
What kind of person was she? I mean, what did you see?
I mean, she's as nice as can be. I mean, very personable, very much a people person.
Do you know any enemies she might have had, somebody that might want to hurt her?
No, we don't know where she is. I mean, the only thing we can think is that maybe she went out running and someone snatched her. Because I mean, we went over. One of her friends had a key. We went inside and tried to see if there was anything amiss, but I mean, she had a door jamb that was sitting right by it, So there was no sign that anyone broke in. I mean, the door was locked when everyone got here. I mean, we just don't know where she is.
What about in the the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of. I think that's where they have recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Body?
Had you heard? Had you seen anything there? Had you seen anything there? I mean, we don't know if this is the same person. You know what I mean? Like, they took out a body there earlier. We don't know if it's the same person or not. So that's why we're trying to ask people if they know who lived there. Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
Okay.
For nearly 3 years, 2 huge unanswered questions hung over the death of Lauren Giddings. What happened the night she died and what happened to the rest of her body, since only her torso was found after the murder. Today, Stephen McDaniel spelled out the answers to those questions in chilling detail. As part of his plea deal with prosecutors, McDaniel agreed to write an allocution, a document detailing what he did and how. Here's a copy of what McDaniel wrote and signed today. McDaniel's statement begins here at Lauren Giddings' apartment at 4:30 a.m. on June 26, 2011. He says he used a master key to sneak into her room as she slept. He wore a mask and gloves and stared at her from across her room. When the floor creaked, she awoke and calmly but forcefully told him to leave. He jumped across the bed and grabbed her throat. As they fell to the floor, she ripped off his mask and said, "Stephen, please stop." But he says he kept choking, maybe as long as 15 minutes, until she stopped moving. Nearly 20 hours later, he returned to her apartment and dismembered her body in her bathtub, where she had stashed her body. He says he wrapped her head and limbs in black trash bags and threw them in the dumpsters at the law school across the street. The long search for her remains actually included the landfill in Twiggs County that was used by the city of Macon at that time, but the search came up empty. He says on Tuesday, June 28th, he placed her torso in a trash can at the apartments where investigators found it. He made it a point to say he never sexually assaulted Giddings and did not remove the pink running shorts that she had on the night he killed her. He says he joined the search for her in a delusional fog, convincing himself that he hadn't killed her and hoping that he might find her alive somewhere. McDaniel did have a message for Giddings' family, many of whom attended today's hearing. He says he does not understand why he did what he did, but that he grieves for her every day. He says he considered Giddings a friend. He doesn't expect to get their forgiveness, but ends by telling them, quote, "I am very sorry." Now, if you would like to see McDaniel's statement in its entirety, you can find it on our website at WGXA.tv.
The pain felt by Giddings' family lives on. Her closest friends say they're still angry. WGXA's Malcolm Johnson spent time with the family at Washington Park as they had a picnic in celebration of Lauren's life.
That's right, Amir. I did spend time with that family, and they told me that every day since Lauren's death has been filled with highs and lows. Even today, as many of them traveled from Maryland to walk into the courtroom here in Macon, expecting a long, drawn-out trial. They ended the day in celebration, which they say is exactly what Lauren would have wanted. For the parents of Lauren Giddings, today's decision by Stephen McDaniel to plead guilty in the murder of their daughter doesn't stop the pain.
A lot of people use the word closure. There will never be closure.
But it does provide relief.
We won't have to endure the pain of sitting through a long trial.
Didn't want to drag it out any longer. You know, we don't want him in our thoughts any longer.
Family and friends met at Washington Park for a picnic. The park where Lauren would walk her dog Butterbean every day. Gatherings like this picnic have helped the family get through their loss.
The hardest part is a day-to-day thing. It's not just that our sister was killed. She was our friend. She would have been my kid's aunt. We would have called her on holidays, or she would have been home with us holidays, call her on a daily basis. We would G-chat almost 15 times a day. So it's not like they just took this person. Like, that was a part of our daily lives.
For the friends of Giddings, who would have turned 30 last Friday, just getting to this point has been difficult.
It's been a nightmare. I mean, it's been 2 years, 9 months, and 22 days since they found her torso in a flip-top trash can behind those apartments, and we've been living a nightmare ever since. And it's, today doesn't end it. Nothing's going to end it.
Lauren's best friend, Kristen, is an attorney. She's represented the Giddings family in a civil suit for wrongful death that was filed in federal court. Should the death penalty have been issued today?
Yes. Absolutely no question. If any case ever cried out for the death penalty, this case does.
Miller did not speak in the courtroom, but her message for McDaniels is clear.
Have fun in prison, and I hope you die there.
As for the family, they will continue to stay positive with love and support from those closest to them.
Today is a very sad day, but we're going to celebrate Lauren.
The Giddings family says this may not be the climactic ending people may have expected, but it's the right ending. Reporting live from studio, Malcolm Johnson, WGXA.